Okay, thank you for joining today. We have Matt and Liz Blair, and Matt and Liz are going to be joining us for our training unit, and we'll also be heading up a few pretty cool groups that will be a part of Honor Wellness training program. So, can you tell us a little about who you are and why this work matters to you? Matt.
Sure. Hey, Phyllis. My name is Matt Blair. I'm a retired police officer. Spent 21 years in law enforcement working in a variety of roles, including narcotics sergeant, detective lieutenant, captain, and SWAT team commander. Throughout my career, I focused on taking care of the officers under me, the community, and my family. But like a lot of other officers in the field, I didn't always take time or take care of myself. Over time, I normalized the stress that came with the job, poor sleep, just pushing through daily shift work. And my career ended earlier than I expected due to the impact the job had on my health. And that really forced me to take a step back and look at things very differently. The last few years have been a period of growth for us as a couple and for my family. We have 6 kids that we're very proud of, and we've had the opportunity to slow down, to reconnect, and to really learn what it looks like to take care of ourselves and each other in a much more healthier way. Looking back, we both wish we had more preventative information and real time support along our journey. The last few years have definitely been difficult in many ways, and I'll say this briefly. Liz has been incredibly supportive throughout my entire career, and especially these last couple years. Even when we didn't fully understand what was going on, she showed up with patience and understanding, and our kids certainly did too. It's certainly something I don't take for granted. What I've learned through all this is that it's just very important to take an integrative approach, looking at routine physical health, mental health, and when needed, looking at tools like medication and taking that without stigma. That's a big part of why this work matters to me right now.
Thank you so much, Matt. Liz.
Well, I'm Elisabeth Blair. I am Matt's wife. I have a master's in health and wellness education, but I didn't go back to school until after he retired, and I saw the need to learn a little bit more about this. I'm a certified health education specialist, and I'm working on my doctorate with a focus on trauma-informed education. I've been a teacher, educator my whole life because I believe that knowledge is power. And I didn't really understand trauma-informed education or care and the importance of prevention until after Matt retired. I thought we were doing a pretty good job. But looking back, I can see now how much the job was impacting not just him, but our entire family. And I didn't have the framework at the time to recognize it early or respond in the most helpful way. I also had to learn to recognize the signs of stress and trauma, so I didn't take those responses personally. And that has been a journey, and it is still a journey that I am on. That experience really shaped the direction that we're going in, and why I'm so passionate about helping other families understand what's happening sooner and giving them tools before they reach a crisis point.
That's such a great point, guys, um, because that real talk of you're all family, you're all human, you're all men and women and kids, like how it all comes together is real life. And there's no shame in that. It's how can we do better when we know better? How can we do better? Right?
Right.
So, from your perspective, guys, why is there a need for a family and couples group like this? Matt, what do you think?
Well, I'd say that the job doesn't just affect the person that does it. It affects relationships at home in a huge way. And a lot of times people don't realize how much it's impacting communication and connection until it's already built up and there's damage done.
Okay. All right. Great point. Liz, what do you think?
Well, Honor Wellness has helped us. And so I think through Honor Wellness, there's a real recognition of that need. And this group is, we're kind of developing it to support first responders and their spouses or partners with a strong family focus. Even though children won't necessarily be part of the group, everything is designed to strengthen the home environment as a whole. When you're working on communication or understanding what's going on behind the scenes, or that's naturally going to help the kids feel safe and help them, because you're working on it together, and then you can teach them what you're learning. So it helps everybody.
Yeah, I think that piece is so important, pulling in the whole system, right? The couple, the significant others, because you are the ones that are that foundation, you're the bedrock for those first responders and military personnel to be able to be lifted, right? And work together as that solid team. It is a system to work together. Great points. So, guys, what will this group focus on? Matt, what do you think?
I think a big focus is just relationships, especially the communication at home. A lot of times it's hard to talk about what people are dealing with on the job, so you just don't talk about it.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Why do you think that is, Matt, that people don't talk about what happens at work?
I think a lot of times you don't want to take the problems home and you don't want to kind of dump on your significant other and make them feel like they need to take some of the weight off of you. You rather, you have a tendency to want to help people and you don't want to add burden onto your partner or significant other with some of the stuff that you see and take home with you on a daily basis.
Yeah. Do you think it sometimes backfires in terms of like a
Like that.
not connecting with your significant other, like at the very least, oh, you know what? It was a rough one. It was a rough one. I don't want to talk about it, or I do want to talk about it, but just letting them know, walking in the door, this has been tough. This is weighing on me. Does that sometimes backfire when you don't say that to your significant other?
Yeah, definitely. They may think you're just having an off moment, or maybe
Mad at them.
upset with them about something, not want to talk with them about something. I know for us, I would typically share with her some of the tougher calls and um, more difficult scenes that I dealt with, not in graphic detail, but just, hey, we had this incident happen tonight, and it was a long day. And a lot of times she would know because, especially being in detectives for a lot of years, we would spend a lot of extra hours, a lot of overtime hours working different cases. So she would know and be checking in periodically, or I'd check in with her. Um, but it wears on you over time. It definitely um, wears on you, and you don't want to come home and say, "Oh, I just need to check out for a while." But sometimes you need to do that, and you don't want them. I certainly didn't want her to feel like, I didn't want to spend time with her. But at the same time, you're just mentally exhausted from, you know, a long scene or a long day, um, and you need some time to kind of recuperate. Um, so
Yeah, and if that's not communicated, sometimes the spouse or the kids will get the brunt of that and kind of think, oh, it's me, I did something wrong. But if it was just communicated, but sometimes, the first responder or doesn't even realize themselves how it's affecting, um, the way that they're responding or anything. So I think just some awareness that doesn't come naturally. Just, I think it'll be good to talk about that and just learn how to communicate that better.
Yeah, and taking that focus, Liz, in that communication, how important that communication is. What are those other components, Liz, that the group will focus on?
I think understanding stress responses, like maybe even nonverbal ones, like understanding the stress responses, and giving couples tools to stay connected instead of pulling apart. Um, because I think it is very hard when, especially a first responder or even military, um, they they don't want to, either talk about stuff or put unnecessary burden. Um, but that makes it so that they internalize everything, or maybe they downplay things because they're seeing people that they think have it way worse off than them. So they don't want to be the focus. But I think, just like I said earlier, having the communication to not, take it personally. I know, especially in the last few years, that was something I really had to learn, and I'm still learning, um, to not think that everything is like, oh, he's mad at me, or he's mad at the kids or whatever. It's, communication has really helped with that. And, learning how to check in and learning how to ask the right questions, um, and just see those, recognize triggers, recognize stress responses. Um, but it all takes a lot of work. Like, it all takes a lot of intentionality, like doing it on purpose. And even when you have all the tools, knowing how to use them. So I
Yeah,
don't know if I answered.
absolutely. That's wonderful. And that strikes me because there are many different groups out there, right? I think a lot of this stuff that you're talking about, though, it is one of the things that makes this group different, right? Is that focus on that intentionality, that hard work. Matt, what are your thoughts on what makes this group different?
Well, I think that one thing that stands out is that it's not just about talking. A lot of groups focus on just talk therapy and just kind of going around the group and sharing. But in this group, more specifically, it's about learning and having tools that you can actually use on the job, use at home, and take with you and apply. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. Liz, what makes this group different?
I think we're designing it around like real life topics like stress, routines, communication. So people walk away with something practical, like he said, not just conversation. I know something that's really helped us is having a loose routine, doing certain things that are non-negotiables every day. And it might be something silly like, taking a 20 to 30-minute walk, and or or making our bed every day. We read the book Make Your Bed. And just having some kind of purpose, even if it's something small, some kind of purpose every day that you can, at the end of the day, or even just talk for a couple minutes at the end of the day of, what were the wins today? Because sometimes days can feel pretty heavy. And so if we can, talk about some wins. So you're not going to bed feeling defeated. And even, sleep hygiene. This guy used to go, 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 and
Sleep when I
you're
could.
he used to always say, I'll sleep when I'm dead. and and that your body can't do that forever. So, just things on and healthy ways to cope with things like drinking and eating comfort food. Um, okay once in a while, but it shouldn't be the go-to. So maybe, finding some more healthy ways to de-stress or cope. So practical tools that seem silly, but when you put them into practice, especially consistently, really, really helps.
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about um, some of the greatest challenges I think that many first responder families and military families go through. What are those, from your perspective, maybe expanding on that a little bit more? What are some of those biggest challenges that our first responder families and couples face? Matt, what are your thoughts there?
I think one thing is a disconnect at home. A fade over time at home, and you're dealing with things at work a lot of times that are hard to explain. So sometimes it's easier not to just not say anything and not kind of let your family in, and that eventually leads to that disconnect, and it does tend to get worse over time.
Makes that chasm grow. Yeah. Liz, what are your thoughts there?
I think on the other side, being, the spouse and the mother of the children, families can feel shut out or unsure how to respond. And I think that misunderstanding can create tension even in strong relationships. Um, so I think even taking just getting into small habits, even if it's 5 minutes of connection with a kid that seems like they're struggling or something like that, or even under helping kids understand what you're going on, not um blaming it on your job or making excuses or excusing certain behaviors, but helping the kids understand too, and just on purpose doing things to make them feel connected and your spouse feel connected to you, that doesn't have anything to do with the job or whatever. And I think that's one of the things that we were talking about is identity, that so that the job isn't your identity. Like it can't be your whole identity, because someday that's going to be over, and hopefully your family will still be there. so so I think that is definitely a challenge first responder families and military families face, is that they do kind of feel shut out because the brotherhood there, and we're here, but you kind of have to have the brotherhood at home too, because they're going to be there when you're not in service anymore. So that was a ramble, but
Oh, great points. Great points. You guys also referenced some really good points before about health and sleep and lifestyle. What what role does overall health and lifestyle play here? Matt, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think taking care of yourself has to be consistent. I think, like Liz said, you can have a drink once in a while or some comfort food once in a while, but if that's your go-to, over time, that becomes a problem. It's not just one thing that's a problem. It's being consistent over time, and everything working together. A lot of times talking about that diet, sleep, and exercise component, really, those things working together seem to be a good start and will lay a good foundation.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, great
And
points.
you're, I think, we want this group to take like a whole person approach. It's not all separate. Your physical health is related to your mental health, is related to your relational health, is related to your, spiritual health, everything. And so sleep, nutrition, movement, community, and community in like with your job, but also outside of your job, and just overall routine, and being kind of selfish with it, like, no, I'm gonna take my health seriously, and this, it's important to me to make sure I eat right, exercise, um don't shut myself out from people. For us, faith is a big part of that, but we'll approach that in a way that's inclusive and respectful of everyone. And I think the goal is just helping each person find what grounds and supports them. It's going to be different in of every phase of your career and in your family. Um, and something that was very grounding and supportive 5 years ago might not be the same as it is now. We were, obviously he wasn't expecting to retire as early as he did, but now we're avid hikers, and there's certain things that we are able to do now that we definitely had to squeeze in before. But just because you're on shift work or doing things, like, you can figure out what works for you, and it doesn't have to be this massive plan, or this, it can be little things that contribute to overall health.
Yeah, you know what I'm hearing? I'm hearing proactive. I'm
Mm.
hearing prevention.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing self-preservation. So, why is prevention important? What are your thoughts there, Matt?
Yeah, I think a lot of people wait until someone, or something forces them to deal with whatever the issue is. I think, like with a vehicle, with a car, routine maintenance is so important, and it prevents those breakdowns later on or down the road. Same thing with our bodies. The more we can do to prevent issues over time and address things as they come up, rather than waiting for one thing to kind of blow up, really helps that prevention piece.
Definitely. Liz, prevention, why is that important?
I think it's just important to talk about. I read recently that your 60-year-old body doesn't have a choice in, so take care of it now, because you're taking care of that 60-year-old, or you're taking care of that 70-year-old by what you're doing now. And you know nobody really talked to us about, when he became a police officer, and I became a police officer's wife by default. Nobody really talked to us about any of this. And so, I was just married to someone that was superhuman. And thankfully, he didn't expect me to have as much energy as he had. But there wasn't a lot of talk about preventative health, preventative mental health, preventative. It was just kind of deal with stuff as it comes. And that adds up over time. So I think one of the most important things for us with this group is, helping people in a way that we wish that we had been helped years ago, and talking a lot about prevention, because prevention is so, and not just prevention, maintenance along the way, and tweaking things as they come
Yeah.
along. But I think it's so important.
Absolutely. And getting people to that point is is getting past this whole idea, and it's getting better, but the stigma of taking that first step, asking
Mm.
for help, whether it be peer support, whether it be clinical or clergy. What about the stigma around getting help? Matt, as a long history in law enforcement, what do you think about that stigma in getting help, and how can we better educate and help to get past that stigma?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely exists. I mean, being around for a long time, the times that guys were looking for help, guys were talking about it. Other officers would talk about it like, oh, you know, they're weak or they can't handle the job or the situation that they were having an issue with. A lot of times you could put your finger on one specific call. Um, and guys don't want to be seen as weak. They don't want to be seen as not having it all together. And I think that kind of breaking that stigma and saying, hey, I could use a little help here, or, I can't take everything on myself. I certainly had the tendency to do that, taking it all on my shoulders, feeling like I had no weaknesses and couldn't show any weakness, because that'd be a sign of a failure ultimately. I think there's definitely a stigma there, especially as a first responder, especially as a police officer. You're called to deal with situations like you got to have the answers to, and when you don't have the answers to yourself, for yourself and for your own problems, people kind of look at you like, well, what's this guy doing? Is he going to be okay to respond to those calls, those significant calls? Um, it exists. It's out there for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Liz, what are your thoughts surrounding that stigma?
I mean, there definitely is. I mean, I could see it with just watching his department, and there's definitely, because first responders are tough guys or tough women, military is tough guys, and I think it's important to shift that preventative and consistent mental health care and is tough, because you're taking care of yourself, putting that oxygen mask on first so that you can be there to help other people. And I'm glad that the tune is changing. I'm glad that the stigma is changing, but it's still there. It's definitely still there, especially I think around therapy and even medication, especially medication. And um I think that's why we do want to have a focus around integrative, whole person preventative care, because there's not one answer to everything. You know, Medication can help create that so that all that static isn't there, so that you can actually focus on getting, help in other areas of your life. Um, but unfortunately, I think there is a stigma around that and therapy and a lot of things, because you're just supposed to be able to handle it yourself. And I really do hope that changes, because being on the other end of it and seeing the years of, you know, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, because he was everybody's hero. And he really was. He was our hero. He was the community's hero, everybody's hero, but you got to take care. The hero needs some help too.
Yeah. So, people watching this video and joining the group, what will participants gain? What will those couples and significant others gain by attending this group?
I think real practical support, just some real conversation, but some real tools that will help relationships, and especially those relationships at home.
Yeah, yeah, great point. Liz, what are your thoughts? What will they gain?
Communication tools. I also think some understanding just from being in a group together. Understanding. You don't have to explain what's going on because everybody knows what's going on. And so just some understanding of each other, that you're not alone. And also communication tools, stress management, stronger routines, and guidance on maintaining an identity outside of the job. Like it's an amazing identity. The job, whether it be first responder, military, it's a noble cause, it's a noble identity, but it can't be the only identity. Like you are a whole person, and you're a spouse or a partner, and maybe a parent, or a son, a brother, or a sister. There's there has to be an identity outside of the job, and I even think um, talking about how to be aware of that. The end is coming, even if you're at the beginning of your career, the end is coming at some point, and to be prepared for that. And it's a good thing. It can be a good thing, you know.
Should be, right? Because we're talking about like really building up that sense of identity, the man, the woman that came into the job.
Mhm.
What does who are they, right? Who are they? Now, Matt, what do you think? Who should consider joining this group? Who should consider maybe coming on in to this group?
Yeah, I think any first responder, police, fire, military, their partners, whether they're starting out, in their rookie season, they've been around for a little while, or they're retired. Anyone that lives the lifestyle and um, has to deal with some of the things that first responders deal with should definitely come and check it out.
Liz, what do you think? What would you say?
I think you don't have to be struggling to benefit. I feel like a lot of times people join these types of groups or reach out for help because they're like, I'm struggling. And, but like we've been saying, the best is prevention, proactive prevention. So it's about staying strong along the way. So if you wear some type of badge or have, or some type of
First responder.
on your sleeve, you should be there. And if you're married or living with or a partner of someone, then
Yeah.
this is for you.
All right. How about that person that's like, yeah, I want to, I should, I've thought about it. What would you say to them? Matt?
I think it's a great opportunity to be part of something that's meaningful, that could help themselves and their family, and be part of it from the beginning. From kind of the ground up. Um, this is brand new to us too, so we're looking to learn. I think just as much as they are.
Yeah.
Liz, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think that if it resonates with you, like you're like, they've been looking inside my windows. And um I think a lot of us are a lot more alike than we realize, and kind of hit the ground running in these careers. And um if I think that I'd encourage you to come out and see what it's about. We'll be figuring it out with you.
Well, guys, thank you so much for talking with me tonight. I'm so excited and feel so incredibly blessed to be able to work together to offer this group to our significant others and first responder and military couples that I think to find this sense of community and connection and
Mhm.
be able to just say, wow, you get it. You get it, you get me, and yeah, you've been looking in my windows, so uh, I I can make this connection and maybe find a good game plan,
Right.
build a toolbox together. That's priceless. That's priceless. So
I
I'm
agree.
so excited about this effort, guys, and I'm really looking forward to building this group with you.
We
So,
are
all right. Well, until we begin, which will be very soon, and anyone interested in learning more about this group, definitely you can instant message me. You can give me a call or text 860-919-9762. My email address, Phyllis at honorwellness.org. And until next time, have a blessed and beautiful day. And guys, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for joining today. We have Matt and Liz Blair, and Matt and Liz are going to be joining us for our training unit, and we'll also be heading up a few pretty cool groups that will be a part of Honor Wellness training program. So, can you tell us a little about who you are and why this work matters to you? Matt.
Sure. Hey, Phyllis. My name is Matt Blair. I'm a retired police officer. Spent 21 years in law enforcement working in a variety of roles, including narcotics sergeant, detective lieutenant, captain, and SWAT team commander. Throughout my career, I focused on taking care of the officers under me, the community, and my family. But like a lot of other officers in the field, I didn't always take